ARCA is useless now. Too often these races devolve into teenagers just driving through each other. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you're enjoying the final off weekend of the NASCAR Olympic break. Now, not all NASCAR sanctioned series were off this weekend. Last night, the ARCA Menard series raced at Winchester Speedway in Indiana, and this was a full contact race. Drivers door slamming each other for the lead, drivers intentionally wrecking other drivers, Corey Heim getting spun by Ty Gibbs with 4 laps to go for the win, drivers' dads needing to be held back by ARCA officials. You know, if we saw these kinds of races like once a year or once every 2 or 3 years, I would say, hey, it's just a memorable night of stock car short track action. But unfortunately, these types of incidents really are no stranger to the ARCA Menard series these days, so that's what I want to talk about today. We're not doing a Cup Series race review as we would typically do on a Sunday afternoon. Instead, we're going to talk about ARCA. We're going to focus on the events of last night's race, but then we're going to talk about the issues facing ARCA more broadly. First, let's take a look at some of the notable incidents from last night's race. Before halfway even, Taylor Gray, 16-year-old driver for DGR, intentionally hooked Daniel Dye into the outside wall on the straightaway. Clear as day, there is no disputing that. That was an intentional move from Taylor Gray to take out one of his competitors. They're racing inside the top 5. Nick Sanchez was unfortunately caught up in the incident as well, led to a red flag actually. I have no idea why Taylor Gray thought it was a good idea to hook Daniel Dye. I mean, you look at the pass Dye put on him beforehand, it looked pretty clean to me. Maybe they rubbed a little bit, but I don't think so, and I don't recall these drivers having a deep history or anything. No matter the reason, it's never a good idea to hook a guy in the right rear going down the straightaway. I don't care if it's a big track or a short track, that's just not a good idea, especially in ARCA when these cars are very expensive to run and the payouts in ARCA are not what they used to be. Tearing up equipment like that is terrible. No place for that kind of stuff in the sport, and honestly, I think Taylor Gray should be on a short leash. He's 16 years old. This is the same driver, you'll remember, got penalized before the season even started for being on his phone, filming himself while practicing at Daytona International Speedway. Not a short track by any means. He was filming himself, Snapchatting and driving, got penalized for that. He's the same kid who was hospitalized after he was involved in a single car accident in North Carolina that forced him to miss what would have been his first ever Camping World Truck Series start. So Taylor Gray should be on a short leash. He has now proven multiple times that this year alone that he does not use good judgment. Now, things got even sillier last night when the two drivers' dads, because these are teenagers, Daniel Dye is 17 years old, Taylor Gray is 16, the two drivers' dads needed to be restrained on pit road so that they would not get into a physical altercation. Look, I get it, they're dads, and these are, just kids driving these race cars, teenagers, so I understand the emotion, but it's still kind of a silly look for your series when you got the dads needing to be restrained, not the drivers. Drivers aren't getting in each other's face, and I know they're kids, but 16 and 17, you can get in each other's face at that age. These aren't 9-year-olds we're talking about, but still, dad's getting involved, so things got silly from there. The rest of the race played out, and there was plenty more contact and drama. Closing laps of the race, Ty Gibbs is trying to chase down Corey Heim for the race win, and Ty Gibbs spins him out, just flat out dumps him. Ty Gibbs goes on to win the race. It's his 7th ARCA win of the season. There's just no competition in that series, let's be honest. Ty Gibbs and Corey Heim have gone back and forth this year. Go back a few weeks to Elko Speedway when Corey Heim punted Ty Gibbs out of the way on the final restart to take the win there. Going back to Winchester last night, the two drivers had gotten into each other as well. Early in the race, Corey Heim, small nudge, a classic bump and run to Ty Gibbs, who then retaliated by door slamming Corey Heim down the back straightaway. Felt like the two got even there, but clearly Ty Gibbs still held a grudge and chose to dump Corey Heim. I don't know that it was intentional, but he definitely meant to hit Corey Heim, and he was not in control of his race car enough to just nudge him out of the way, bump and run style. He flat out spun him. Corey Heim, upset after the race, said he's looking forward to the next ARCA race at Watkins Glen. Possible retaliation coming, which is just what the ARCA Menard series needs, is more drivers running into each other for whatever reason. And that's why I say the ARCA Menard series is pretty much useless now. How are we supposed to judge up-and-coming talent when, once again, these races often seem to devolve into just who can drive through the most cars en route to victory? Stuff that is not going to fly once you get into the NASCAR Xfinity or the NASCAR Cup Series. You just can't judge talent in ARCA anymore. For one, there's only like 5 competitive cars on a weekly basis, and the guys driving those 5 competitive cars are like 16, 17, 18 years old, so even if you win, like, who are you really beating? There's not enough clean, consistent driving out there. Too many of these kids want to be Dale Earnhardt and not enough want to be Mark Martin. I'm sorry, but it does not require talent to just drive through someone on quarter entry or wreck someone intentionally down the straightaway. Put me behind the wheel of a race car. I know how to not use the brakes. I can do that. The only reason we know Ty Gibbs at least has raw talent is because he's gone out and won a couple of Xfinity Series races this year. If we just watched his ARCA performance, we'd be like, oh, okay, I guess he's all right, but he runs into a lot of people. He's got maybe the best car in the series. Like, what can we actually learn from the ARCA Menard series? The answer is almost nothing. The only thing the ARCA Menard series is useful for right now is showing the world that these teenagers coming up through the ranks are not mature enough to drive on the national stage. I'm a big Ty Gibbs fan, y'all know this. I wore a Ty Gibbs shirt I think in my last episode. I love Ty Gibbs. Super duper talented, but also super duper immature. I know he's only 18 years old, but if he's gonna race on the national stage as he's done this year and as he will probably do more frequently next year and beyond, he has to clean this stuff up. He's become a nuisance on the racetrack and his standards are completely screwed up. Remember a few weeks ago, he was complaining about AJ Allmendinger's 3-wide move at Mid-Ohio? He called that move dirty and then follows that up, a couple months later by dumping Corey Heim for the win. I mean, just straight up dumping him. Like, his standards are completely reversed. Or no, not reversed, non-existent. He doesn't have a clear driving etiquette standard. And again, he's 18 years old. Usually I'd cut an 18-year-old up-and-coming race car driver some slack, but if you're an 18-year-old driver who's gonna race in front of millions of fans on Saturdays and maybe before long on Sundays, I'm sorry, but you have to be held to a higher standard. You can't be held to the same standard that your average emotional 18-year-old would be held to. I do wonder if this is part of the reason he's failed to lock in a long-term sponsor. He's had Monster Energy, but they've sort of moved to the background in recent years. He has not been able to land another primary sponsor. There's maybe a reason he's driving blank race cars in the ARCA and Xfinity series. I'm hard on Ty Gibbs because I care, because I see future superstar in him. Of all the teenagers in stock car racing right now, I think he has the most potential from a pure talent standpoint, and I desperately want to see him refine that talent and mature a little bit so that he can go forth and win dozens of Cup Series races one day. I want to see him win 3, 4, 5 Cup Series championships because I see right now that it is possible. You don't learn that from watching these ARCA races. We've learned that watching him in Xfinity. Anyway, that's a side tangent on Ty Gibbs. Back to the ARCA Menard series more broadly. Teenagers tearing up expensive race cars that they don't have to pay for or work on is not likable. Fans don't respect or resonate with that kind of stuff. NASCAR traditionally appeals to blue-collar, hard-working people. And I don't see any way those people enjoy what they've seen from the ARCA Menard series these last couple of years. And quite honestly, it pains me to say this because even just 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I feel like the ARCA Menard series was still capable of producing great talent, putting on good racing. They had higher car counts, more competitive fields, some more veteran drivers mixed in with the young guys in good equipment. Just a few years ago, the ARCA Menard series was still very much a legitimate step on the driver ladder, but no more. Quite honestly, I think NASCAR teams, Cup Series, Xfinity Truck Series teams, should begin looking to other series, other styles of racing to develop their talent. Whether it's late models, super late models, dirt late models, dirt sprint cars, the Trans Am series, we've seen what Ernie Francis Jr. did in the SRX this past summer. The Modified Tour, these are all far more competitive series than the ARCA Menard series is these days. And I understand they all have their own communities, their own cultures, their own legends and veterans and superstars in their own ranks, and it's disrespectful to look at, the Modified Tour as a developmental series. Like, I get that, but at the same time, I think that's where NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series teams should be looking more often to find legitimate racing talent. I mean, Josh Berry, late model legend, makes a few Xfinity starts for Junior Motorsports this year and wins at Martinsville and becomes a household name. I love seeing KBM run Chandler Smith in late models and at difficult racetracks going up against tough competition. I love seeing that. I'd love to see even more of that from other race teams. I don't want to see NASCAR come in and invade, the sprint car community or the super late model community. I understand understand a lot of fans would not take kindly to that. But my point is, those are far more competitive series. Those racing series, those style of cars are much harder to win in than the current ARCA Menard series is. I think NASCAR teams should be looking at those series more closely for future driver talent. Or if you're Joe Gibbs, start fielding late models and put Ty Gibbs in a late model. Send him to all the big events and see how he stacks up against the Bubba Pollards and Stephen Nassies of the world. Even if it's just some one-offs, he will learn a lot more there than he's learning in ARCA right now. And we'll finally be able to more accurately judge his skill level. I'm sorry, but the ARCA Menard series is not a good indicator of driving talent, and it's a shame. It's quite honestly a shame. But let me know what you guys think of the ARCA Menard series, what you thought of last night's race, if you saw it. I think it was on MAV TV. You know, I recently discovered a burger place near my apartment that always has MAV TV on. I was shocked first time I went. I was like, are those super late models on the TV? So now I'm becoming one of their favorite customers, I think. But anyway, yes, share your thoughts down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk about NASCAR day in, day out. Really appreciate the support. I also appreciate the support from my amazing Patreon supporters as well. I could not do the show without their tremendous support. We've made it to the month of August, which means the NASCAR Cup Series regular season is drawing to a close. Watkins Glen this weekend. We'll have plenty to talk about between now and then. Appreciate the support, y'all. I'll see you in the next video.